welcome to the Burned Out to Badass podcast. My name is Ellen Schinke, at Coach Ellen on Instagram, and this is my monthly podcast where I am committed to giving you short, no BS episodes to help you, the busy, burned out professional and entrepreneur, find your balance and take back your life from burnout. Let's do this. Hello, my friend, and welcome back to Burned Out to Badass. I have re-recorded this particular episode so many times. I feel like I couldn't quite decide what I wanted it to be, but I kept coming back to this quote. You can be anything, but you can't do everything. And how it really just felt reminiscent of what I've been going through lately. Like, y'all know, or if you don't know, you will learn that I am a burnout and stress management coach, yes. But I got into that because of my own experiences and tendency toward burnout. But more so than anything, I got into that, and I'm sharing this podcast because I'm still in this with you. I'm still susceptible to the exact same types of burnout and triggers and things that you are likely experiencing. I go through them exactly as you do. And this is one of those moments. This is one of those kind of come with me episodes. This episode is kind of a pep talk. If you've been burned out and exhausted lately and you can't quite figure out why, it's not coming from the normal places it comes from. If you are feeling like that, this is for you, because that's exactly where I was and where I am. So let me give you some context here. Let me give you some context as to where I'm at and kind of what I've been going through. I don't know about you, but I'm used to being burned out by my to-do list or being burned out by work. And I'm even sort of used to being burned out by the balance of having high expectations of myself in terms of my goals, my career. I'm used to that. But lately, the things that have been burning me out haven't been any of that. It's actually been my social life and dating. In late September, actually, so like a couple weeks ago, I realized that I had not taken a weekend off since June. I hadn't taken a weekend off to recharge myself since June. I'd gone 3 straight months of having demanding, draining, busy weekends that were mentally, emotionally, and physically taxing. And it started with long, demanding hikes. You know, I'm talking double-digit miles, 3,000 to 4,000 feet of elevation gain, being on my feet for 8 to 10 hours of the day. You know, it all culminated with that Camp Muir hike, which, if you don't recall or you didn't check it out, I talked about in episode 4 of this podcast. I did that Camp Muir hike, and that was at the end of July. But even leading up to that, I was doing long hikes and training for that. But after that wrapped, after that was done, after that was off my plate, then it was weddings. In fact, over the last 3 months, I've gone to 4 weddings, 2 of which were in the same weekend. Then it was dating. And I actually posted about this on Instagram, and I shared it in a newsletter recently, which if you are not on my newsletter, you can head to actually just coachellen.com/podcast, scroll to the bottom of the page. You can sign up for the newsletter. But I've talked about the fact that being single is exhausting. I'm sure being a parent and all that has its own points of exhaustion, but dating is exhausting. Like, there's so many reasons, you know, wading through the potential men on dating apps. Like, no one likes dating apps, but frankly, it's a full-time job to find the people that are dateable on dating apps. You know, between wading through the fuck boys, teasing through all the profiles that have just a picture, a really crappy picture with no information, to see and look at someone's profile and see if there's any substance there, let alone actually considering, you know, going out with them. You know, there's the logistics of the dating part. Like, it's a time suck that, you know, even goes into meeting someone on a dating app. Then it's the back and forth messaging. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I have to just keep up the witty banter until I actually meet them. Scheduling can be a pain in the ass because we're all busy. So it's the wading through the people on apps, the logistics, the emotions too, that come up through the process. Like, there's one part of my life that I really try to practice what I preach. It's in my self-awareness. You know, when shit comes up for me, I want to navigate it and journal it out. And it's emotionally exhausting when you're doing a lot of dating to navigate through everything that comes up. You know, am I okay with casual, or am I just tired of spending Friday nights alone? Am I actually interested in this guy, or is it just validating? There's all of these emotions that come up, and I'm over analytical by nature. So I'm analyzing all of these things, and it has been exhausting. Like, so exhausting. But it's not just the dating part. My social life has been overwhelming as well. You know, I mentioned the 4 weddings over the course of the last 3 months. I also spent a full weekend with my family in Central Washington, which was frankly more draining than rejuvenating. Sorry, fam. A day on the river with my social club, which more draining than rejuvenating. A full weekend of wedding festivities in Central Washington. A week where I had 2 nights out of socializing, 1 really, really long hike, and a Labor Day weekend barbecue. A full day of adventuring on a yacht in the middle of Lake Washington, which was completely unplanned. That was actually supposed to be my rejuvenating weekend. A full weekend away on Whidbey Island for another wedding, a housewarming party that turned into 8 hours of shenanigans. And like, don't get me wrong, all of this was fun in the moment, but those are my recent weekends. And I skipped a lot, actually. I ultimately got to the point, though, where I had to ask for a full-blown weekend off to just mentally and emotionally recharge. I hit a wall of exhaustion, and I had to ask for some time off at work to recover from it. And like I said at the beginning of this, I was more than anything confused as to why I was so drained, because it's not like I'd been skipping out on any self-care, taking care of myself. I just couldn't seem to, no matter what I did, get my energy back. I couldn't shake this perpetual exhaustion. And it was mental, emotional, and physical. It was so rough. I'm going to be talking more in the future. I'm probably going to do a podcast episode on it in and of itself about the 7 different types of rest that I learned about during this time and how that kind of factored in for me. But I think the important thing I realized in reflecting on my dating and social life lately is I needed to take a break. But more so than anything, I realized that I wasn't kind of allowing myself that. In the same way I allow my clients, or that my clients allow themselves to take a break from work or from goals, I wasn't allowing myself to take a break from my social life or my dating life. Like, we allow ourselves to take breaks from all of these things that are exhausting, or at least we should. We know we should. But for some reason, I was not applying that to dating or socializing. If dating and my social life are exhausting me right now and draining me right now, perhaps that's what I need to take a break from, right? It seemed so much like a #duh situation. But I think and I think we all do this as well, I didn't allow myself that because I kind of convinced myself, and we convince ourselves, that doing so is weak. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I feel like I should be able to handle so much more than I can. I have these expectations of my life and what I'm going to be able to pack into it, that when I can't handle it, I get disappointed with myself. Like, I've been wrapping dating into this conversation about socializing, but real talk, I've gone on 2 dates with the same person since I got back into the dating game. It would have been 3, but I got ghosted. I'll admit it. But it's only been 2 dates. And I think I judged myself for that. Like, I should be able to handle more than that, shouldn't I? Like, I'm a big girl. I'm an adult. I'm trying to have a bustling social life. And if doing that and having this social life and finding my person are priorities for me, I should prioritize them, right? I've been kind of battling with this idea of, if these are priorities, I should prioritize them. But at the same time, why am I so drained from 2 dates in 3 months and 1 day of socializing a week? But I kind of came to the realization that it's not just those things. It's been the pressures and commitments of socializing and dating on top of all the emotion and bandwidth my day job and business demand. It's 30 plus hours a week of meetings in my day job, however many hours a week of business activities, self-care activities that are important to me, social commitments and time with my friends, as well as the almost 20 men I've matched with and tried to see if there was something there, and yet they stopped responding. It's the dozens of personal questions that come up that I've had to navigate as I've been testing out dating and continually learning about myself. It's all of these things and the daily responsibilities of being a fucking adult. And it's the same thing for you too. Maybe you're not exhausted by socializing or dating right now. Maybe you're exhausted because the kids went back to school. Maybe you're exhausted because they piled even more onto your plate at work. Maybe you're exhausted because someone in your life is ill or struggling and you're navigating all the emotions and responsibilities of that Whatever it is that is exhausting you, are you judging yourself for it? Are you judging yourself for needing a break from that? Are you judging yourself because you should be able to handle more? If you are, stop judging yourself. I've had to pep talk myself through this as well. But if you are, stop. You're a human. You're clearly reaching your limits. And you know what? That's okay. And I'm going to say that again. You're a human and you're reaching your limits. And that is okay. And with that, I want to come back to the title of this episode. You can be anything, but you can't do everything. You can be anything, but you can't do everything. That's what I've realized these last few months, that these things that I was trying to force to be priorities in my life, I can't do them at all times. I can't fit them in. And as we're kind of navigating this question, I've got some things to do and, some questions to consider, some things that I've kind of been asking myself. Firstly, think about how whatever you're considering taking on or whatever it is that is exhausting you, consider how it fits into your life. You might want to go to that event, take on that project, start that business, do that thing, but do you have the energy? Do you have the bandwidth? If the answer is no, okay. It doesn't mean that whatever that thing is doesn't have a place in your life. It just means it might not have a place right now. I think it's also important to realize that you can fit a lot into your life. Absolutely. I mean, I just listed off my last 3 months. It's been crazy. You can fit a lot into your life, but that doesn't always mean you should. I think another way to think about this is that thing that you're thinking about fitting into your life, is it going to fill you up or is it going to drain you? A lot of the realizations I've made recently about myself and what my energy drains came from having a habit of self-reflection. Yes, a part of that is from having a journaling practice, but perhaps the biggest part of that is my weekly review. If you've never turned something like this into a habit, I'm going to probably do podcasts on this whole process in the future. I have some blog posts and actually I'll go ahead and link those in the show notes as well. But if this is something you've never done before, I highly recommend checking out my Take Back Your Time planner. Self-reflection is a built-in part of this planner. It's got weekly reviews, it's got monthly reviews, it's got quarterly reviews. It's just a built-in part of this planner. It's completely how it was designed. And I have both a paper and a digital version. So woohoo, no matter your planning style, there's something there that fits you. But that's been key for me because I frankly don't even think I would have realized how much of a shit show these last 3 months have been, how much I've asked of myself socially, dating, just life in general. I don't think I would have realized it until I sat down to do my September review, which turned into my quarterly review. I wouldn't have known. So that's a huge thing to take from this. But even if you don't sit down and do that self-reflection, even if you don't do that, I think there's a lot of really good rhetorical questions to consider today. Do you have the energy to handle what you're taking on? Are you trying to fit more into your life than you actually can handle? And are those things that are exhausting you filling you up or are they draining you? If you're feeling exhausted, they're probably draining you. And so we've got to think about, is that truly the right time? So that's what I wanted to share today. It turned into something completely different than I thought it would. But I think that's kind of the beauty of it. Writing and sharing your stories, that's kind of the point, So I hope this resonated with you. If you have something that's draining you, I hope that you've kind of been mulling over some of these questions. I hope they got you thinking, they got you reflecting, and they got you considering, am I judging myself? Am I holding myself to too much, to do too much in my life? And where can I back off? Because you can be anything, but you can't do everything. And that's what I've come to realize. Those are the expectations I've had to adjust for myself. And I hope you do as well. So thank you so much for jumping in and joining me today. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye.